All right, we'll get started. We'd like to welcome Justin Thomas to the interview room here at the Players Championship, our 2021 Players Championship winner. Justin, hard to believe you're making your 9th start here at TPC Sawgrass. What's it like to be back?
It's great to be back, a place that I really enjoy. I like the golf course, the energy. I mean, everything about the tournament. It's just, it seems like the tour's, making a pretty cognizant effort of trying to make this a very, very special week for us and our families and everybody involved. And it feels that way. So it's always great to be here.
2 top 10s this season, a T12 last week at the Arnold Palmer Invitational presented by MasterCard. Just speak to your form coming in this week. Yeah,
I feel good about my game. I feel like things are very, very close in terms of winning tournaments. I feel and know that I'm playing well enough to win tournaments. It's just at this point about actually doing it. I think it's like a lot of us start putting a little too much pressure on ourselves and I sometimes want it a little bit too bad. So just staying patient and just trying to let it come to me and let it happen. And hopefully it happens sooner rather than later.
Great. With that, we'll get to questions. If you raise your hand, we'll get a mic. We're going to start over here on the left with Gene, and then we'll get a mic to Joel in the middle here. Gene, over here on the left.
Justin, could you lay out for us how your friendship with Gary Woodland developed and how jarring it was for you when you first heard the news that he had a brain tumor?
Yeah, Gary, I have a lot of stories and a lot of funny memories of kind of around the first times that I met Gary. He's always very welcoming and just very, very easygoing, very happy. He never acts like too big for anybody. I mean, he treats me the same, maybe a little differently. Treats me but very similar now than he did when he first met me. And I just think that's a great quality of him. And he actually told me when we were playing the 3M. Gary's been one of my closest friends out here for a while, and especially with him and being in South Florida now, we're spending more time. But I just asked how. I know I always make fun of him. He's getting old, and I'm like, with your old body, everything good? How you feeling? You need anything this off season? He's like, and I could tell he didn't really want to talk about it. I kind of just let it go, and the next day we just happened to be by ourselves, and he told me what was going on, and I about fell to my knees. I was like, I appreciate you telling me that in my middle of my round, Gary. I had like an 8-footer for birdie, and I was like, you really think I was going to make that putt now? But it was a big perspective thing, and I'm so happy that he's back out here and doing well.
So did he tell you this? He didn't tell you this in the middle of a round. He told you in the middle of a round. Mm-hmm. You were paired with him.
Mm-hmm.
Did you admonish him afterwards a little bit for picking that time?
No. I asked the question, and okay. No, I don't legitimately have any hard feelings about something like that. It's more perfect for me because then it's just another opportunity for me to give him a little bit of grief because that's, what we like to do to each other.
Yeah. As a follow-up to this, how uplifting is it for you now knowing that things are on a much better track for him, and even though part of that tumor is still there, that it seems like he's back to being Gary?
Yeah, it's great. It's a great. It's obviously a great story. It's great for him and his family. I think golf is in reality probably the pretty far down the totem pole in terms of importance and why that need to improve. I know Gabby is much happier that he's in a better place. I'm sure his kids are. Everybody around him, and it just so happens that he's also able to play professional golf at the highest level again too, which is great.
We'll go Joel, Mark, and then Paul. Joel right here in the middle.
Justin, do you find yourself more appreciative of your game after kind of going through the struggles you did last year compared to maybe what you kind of thought before 2023?
Yes and no. I definitely. I think it's easy to overlook. At least for me personally, it's hard to give myself credit when things are going well, is how I would maybe best describe it. And I mean, it's hard to say it without really sounding cocky or arrogant, but like I played really, really good golf for, 6-7 years. And while it was happening, of course I would never sit here and tell you. I would tell you about all the things I would want to do better and why this should have been better, because we're golfers, that's what we do. But yeah, sometimes when it's not going well, it's easier to sit back and look like, all right, damn, like I was playing really well, and I was doing a lot of things well, and I was in contention, a lot more than anybody else. I did all these different things, and I just think when you're in that moment or when it's going on, you sometimes can lose that. You can just lose that view of it. So it's more just trying to get back and, like I have been, enjoying it and enjoying the competition and just trying to put myself there and win tournaments, because it's more fun than anything.
We'll get the mic down to Mark.
Hey, Justin. With regard to Nick Dunlap, I'm just kind of curious if you can speak to his, kind of quick journey here to get here, and how much you've relished trying to help him out a little bit, and what are some of the things that you have tried to impart in terms of advice to him.
It's a very, very tough, quick adjustment for anybody. I mean, not that there's you probably count on your hand the amount of people that have ever done it or had to go through that. So it's not like, I mean, he can ask me for all the advice that he wants, but in terms of what he actually went through, I can't relate, in the sense of, I was supposed to go back to class next week and take some kind of exam, and I just won a tour event, and now I have a full tour card and all these events. So that part, only he could make. I do think he made the right decision. Sorry, Coach Sewell, but I do. I think and know that he did. But I was there to help him when he was in school, and I think he knows that. And I try to always tell that to Coach and the guys on the team when I see him, is like, look, like I was very, very appreciative of anybody at any level above me that was willing to help me when I was that age. And all I wanted to do was get better. I wasn't talking to somebody because of who they were. Like, yeah, it so happened to be that, maybe they were successful or they were a big name in golf, but I viewed it as an opportunity I'm talking to this person because they know a lot, and I'm able to learn a lot from them, which will give me an edge on the people that I'm playing against. So, I want to give Nick all the help I can get, not too much to where he's beating me all the time and all of us, but yeah, he's just getting his feet under him and getting comfortable, but I have no doubt, he'll start playing well here soon.
Over on the right to Paul, the right.
Hey, Justin. Last fall, we talked about you wanting a renewed ownership in your swing. Where are you at in that process? Are you still happy with the work you're doing?
It's very similar. I mean, I'm just doing way more practice and way more work on my own. I just think it's, I used, I was talking to Mike Tirico about it this morning, because he was asking similar about, working with my dad and how's that going, everything. And I was like, it's great. I'm trying to be a little bit more schedule and strict, in the sense of all right, we'll work one day a week when we're home. It's not like, hey, I'm going out to practice and you just come with me. I think it's, if you look at yourself every day in the mirror for 6 months, you don't notice much change. But if you see yourself the first day and at the end of the 6 months, and you're like, dude, you've gained 30 pounds. And it's like, whereas I would have looked at my swing and be like, that looks terrible. But if you see it every day, you may not notice the changes and the differences. So I think it's beneficial for something like that, but also on the accountability side for me. And I know when I'm out there on the course now, is any kind of feels or things that I'm able to manipulate or maybe change on the go, or stuff that I've practiced and done on the range at home.
And just a bit off topic, no one's ever defended here before. I think it's a course that people say doesn't quite suit one person's game. Can you maybe speak to why someone hasn't been able to kind of find the key to sustained success on this course?
I think first and foremost, it's just really hard to win a golf tournament, let alone win it, defend and win it back-to-back. So I think that's the start. It's one of the best fields that we have. So, I mean, that's another reason. But it truly does not fit anybody. It's just, it's not a bomber's course. It's not, I mean, obviously it always helps, but you look at a week like this week, how long the rough is. And I just think you have to have a lot of shots, and you have to have kind of be able to execute what the course and the conditions are giving you, especially with it being in March now. You can get cold, you can get rain, you can get a lot of wind. It's unfortunately going to be soft more often than not, but you can get it firm sometimes. So it's more just kind of adapting, adjusting, and it's just not a place I feel like you can show up and you know what you're going to get every single year, like maybe some other places.
Go to Doug.
A couple of things, Justin. Since you became a member out here, who's been the most dominant player? Did I say that right? Like over the stretch of 9 years, which player do you consider to be have the most dominant stretch, maybe?
That's a good question. I mean, I would say, obviously not on tour anymore, but I mean, DJ. I think DJ was the most dominant in terms of consistently. I mean, Rory's up there, but he's had some years hasn't won some. I mean, honestly, I would put myself up there. I have a lot of confidence in saying that, but probably DJ.
Well, that was the other side. I mean, is there a difference between a guy that would be looked upon as kind of a dominant force compared with people who have had dominant years? You could look at you at 17 or Jordan, J-Day, J-Day, et cetera.
Yeah, I think it's very. I mean, I fall into this all the time with other sports. It's just recency bias. It's whatever happens most recent. That's the only thing you have in your head, and it's. I think you see that a lot, and even in like the college football playoff. In the end of the day, the schedule is the schedule. It shouldn't necessarily matter of when you lost your game, if it's your 10th game or your second game. But for some reason, it matters so much more when you lose that 10th game than the second game. Not looking at Ryan in particular, but, it just so happened that Georgia lost late in the season. That's another story. But same thing y'all did, I guess. So I think it's very similar in that sense of it's easy when, especially if you ask a fan, be like, well, how's so-and-so playing? And it's like if they played well recently, be like, oh, they're playing great. When maybe you look at the 8 months prior to that and they played like crap. But it doesn't work like that, I would say. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but that just, at least to me, it's how it seems.
All right, we're going to go behind to Mark, and then if you'll pass it back to Sean.
Do I have to? I'm okay. Kind of jumping off Fergie's question there a little bit. You didn't even mention Scottie, for example, who's been on a bender for a while, right? And he's been number one for almost the last year or so, but yet he doesn't seem to have that kind of superstar aura. No offense to him, but, just because of the way he carries himself, he's low key. I'm curious he doesn't have that aura like a Rahm or a Rory, or you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. What is it about him that it's like that, where he can walk down a busy street in Manhattan and nobody knows who he is? And what do you think that is that, and do you admire that about him?
I just want to clarify. I didn't say him because he wasn't out here when I turned pro, because I definitely would have said him.
I wasn't trying to say you were distant.
No, I know.
But he does get overlooked a little bit as kind of a quote-unquote dominant guy, even though he's won a bunch of times.
Yeah, I mean, it's ridiculous how good at golf he is, and how. I mean, there's a lot of things I'm actually really excited to play with him this week, because we've had a couple times where we've been close to playing, or we were supposed to play on Sunday at Pebble, and then it obviously got canceled, and we just haven't played together in a tournament in a while. And it's impressive. He's one of those guys. I think you're in the scoring tent and you're maybe doing your scorecard and someone's doing theirs, and you hear Montana in there like, okay, Scottie, had you for 67. And you're like, what? You shot 67? You're like, what? And then he just plots his way along and gets around, and he does it better than everybody else in the world, and he's done it better than everybody for a really long time. That doesn't really address what you asked me in terms of kind of him being under the radar, but I think that's also kind of speaks to him. You know, he doesn't care about social media. He doesn't care about popularity. He just loves golf, and he's just a grinder, and all he wants to do is just play really, really well and practice a lot, and that's what he does.
Can you pass that to Sean and Alan?
It feels like we are kind of in an era of discussion about the structure of the tour, who should be in events and what the events should look like, where the events should go. I'm curious, a lot of those thoughts are about, they invoke other sports, right? That golf should try to establish events like F1 has, or a structure that resembles the Champions League. I'm curious, as a sports fan, do you look outward and feel like pro golf should invoke any one thing in particular that you really like when you look across the sports world?
I try not to do too much just because it's obviously so different. I mean, the one thing that I would say as a whole that I like the most is just that when you have all the best players playing together as often as possible. I mean, obviously you can't have not every NFL game is a Pro Bowl, but essentially it is, right? I mean, it's all the best and in their specific sport, and it's an extremely small percentage in the grand scheme of things of how many play professionally in their sport, but they are all kind of whatever. It's, there's nothing better than Sundays when you can just sit in the couch and you just get to watch, just some freak athletes go play football and hit each other and all day. I mean, I don't know, but that's kind of the main thing I feel like would be is beneficial to fans and is beneficial to us. I mean, I was talking to Coach Sewell this week, our coach at Alabama, and we talked about our team, and we talked about how the practices and when we played, and how competitive Bobby Wyatt was, and Corey Whitsett, and Trey Mullinax, Hunter Hamrick, Scott Strohmeyer, like Tom Lovelady, all these guys, and it was like we truly feel like we were better because we played around each other and practiced with each other, and I think the same is to be said for at a competitive level. I mean, I know Jordan and I fed off each other in 2017, 2018, 2016, and we kind of pushed each other a little bit. We may not have had a conversation about it, but I know internally I don't want him to beat me, and I'm pretty sure he feels the same way. So I think getting all the best players in the world together more often is just going to create more and more competitive nature, and which I guess would result in a better product.
Is it a little dangerous then, I guess, for pro golf to look outward and try to replicate things because it's so different?
I don't know. I think more than anything is I'm trying to not. I mean, I was this way kind of when the Tour Championship format changed. It's like, look, I didn't like it. It's still not my favorite, but you have to give something time. And that's how I'm trying to be with how these tournaments are, is like, and I think from my understanding, it sounds like that's what a lot of the board members or Jay or people are saying, is that we need to give this a little bit of time to see if it works. I mean, pretty much anything, any league, sport, whatever has tried ever has been really their best guess of what they think is best. And then if it isn't, they change it and do something differently. And if it is good, you stick with it. So, hopefully the choices we've made have been the best choices, and we can just keep on keeping on.
Alan?
Thanks. Hey, Justin. Rory used the term fatigue this morning to describe how he felt maybe fans were starting to feel about, the kind of the new paradigm in professional golf, all the questions around money and deals or lack thereof, equity grants, whatever. I'm wondering, are you feeling that same way? Are players feeling that same way? You guys are going on almost 3 years now of answering questions about some matters that you don't have great insight into. Are you feeling that same sense of fatigue now, coming in week after week and trying to answer these questions?
A little bit. I wouldn't say it's just one of those things, and I don't mean this disrespectfully, but it's like, I mean, we get asked it by y'all, and y'all either write about it or it's the headlines or whatever it is, and like we know, or I know coming into a press conference, like I'm probably going to get asked a question about Liv, I'm probably going to get asked a question about this, and it's like, but if I don't, then it doesn't happen. So, but I also understand that that's what's going on in our sport, and that's what y'all are here for, and that's what we have to talk about. But it's not the same fatigue that I felt at the probably like 6 months or a year into it, when it was so new that nobody knew what was going on, and all anybody could talk about in the locker room was what was going on. Like, that was annoying, to be honest, to me. I've just tried to kind of remove myself from most of the conversations because I haven't found the benefit to it. And I don't want to say hoping for the best. That sounds kind of hopeless, but just trying to remember or help look at the bigger, better things going on, kind of thing.
So you don't necessarily feel like an obligation to sort of inform yourself about what's happening? Not suggesting you're not, but Victor was sort of saying earlier, I know what I know. I haven't probably dug as deep as I could have or should have. So I'm just wondering, as you come in knowing the kind of questions you're getting, are you kind of making an effort to, sort of know as much as you possibly can?
No. Maybe that's the college dropout in me. I think it's, y'all know, I will be the first person to tell you guys exactly how I feel and speak my mind, and I'm never I don't want to be a robot up here and say anything, but at the same time, I'm very uncomfortable talking about things that I don't really know much about, and that I kind of like it that way. I think you can kind of go down that rabbit hole of wanting to know a lot and knowing a lot, but at the end of the day, I just want to play great golf and win golf tournaments, whether I'm playing for $1 or $10 million or $1 billion. Like, I still want to win that trophy that they're giving out on Sunday at the end of the week. And my best opportunity of doing that is probably to focus more on golf than the alternative stuff. But I do know that I have a good group of guys that if I want to know more information, that I can reach out to, and they can try to fill my dumb self in.
Adam up front.
When you won here in 2021 and for many years before that, this tournament was billed as the best field in golf. With the live guys not here anymore, that's probably not the case. How do you feel about that?
It's still been the best field in golf, for many previous years. It's, you could always make an argument that, there's other tournaments that are or not. It's the PGA Championship has always been the deepest field in terms of, the most top 100 players. And I'm not just saying that because for selfish reasons, it's just the truth. But I know what you mean in terms of how world ranking and guys that are or aren't on the tour anymore. But that's just kind of the reality that and what they've put themselves in. And I'm not going to have an asterisk next to my name for winning this because the field wasn't too good, right?
And one more, if you don't mind. What's your level of confidence in the job that Jay's been doing?
I know that it's gone way, I shouldn't say way deeper, but it's just way bigger than Jay. I think Jay is just a part of the huge group of people that has been pushing for all the changes and progress that the tour has been making. So I've been pleased with all the the latest stuff that's been happening and been going on, and Jay's been a part of that group. I think this is a lot bigger than one person sitting there and making all the decisions. Understand he has his role, but there's a really, really big group of people and players that are involved now that I think are making a wholesome decision for all of us.
You can pass that down to Ryan, please.
Justin, one of the things that Jay stressed yesterday was this desire to improve the tour product going forward, especially with the new PGA Tour Enterprises. And the default answer from stars like yourself is always to just win a bunch of tournaments and everything will kind of take care of itself. I guess outside of performance, what do you think you can do personally that would engage the fans in a new way moving forward?
I mean, some of it may be things that I don't know, right? Like I feel like I'm making an effort now in my career to engage with fans or to, you know, I mean, things like my AJG event that I've had every year in Louisville, Kentucky, I mean, it's little things like, you know, like that, which now, not to give you a shout out back there, but like an intern who worked for the AJGA, who's worked my event forever, like just started with the PGA Tour, and like who knows if that progress would have been made if, you know, if I didn't have that event and maybe then somehow with the PGA. So there're just so many little things that I shouldn't single myself, that a lot of us do that we probably don't even know that can help or that are helping grow the game, and just make it more accessible is not the right word, but just make it more watchable, more fun. And I hope that I can continue to do stuff like that. I mean, I'm not necessarily sitting at home trying to like come up with ideas of like what's new ways that I can help. It's like I like to think that I do as much as I can already, and I'll just continue to try to do those things. And if other opportunities present itself, then I think myself and others will try to do so. But it's a hard thing, right, to just, you know, come up with a couple of things like these are a couple items that could help type thing.
All right. We've got one more question in the back. If we can get a microphone to the back. Just one last question.
Oh, hey, yeah, JT, handsome curly-haired guy in the back. How you
Yep.
doing? Big fan. Would you consider, in the off season, of course, giving like a 15 handicap, just, I don't know, one lesson, maybe at TPC, just play 18 quick, I don't know, just spitballing here. You don't have to answer now. Give it some thought. Sleep on it.
Okay. Yeah, we can maybe do like a home and home. Like we come here, maybe we'll spend some time on the baseball field, or I don't know. What do you think?
I'll give you some baseball lessons. You give me some golf lessons. You got it.
My dad's the coach, by the way, so anything bad that happens, that's on him.
Okay,
just remember
we'll
that.
bring your dad. I'll bring mine. It'll be I'll see you here. TPC, we'll talk later. You know, we'll figure it out.
Perfect.
All right, Justin, thank you so much for your time. Best of luck this week.
Thanks.